New Thought Media Network and the Universal Joy Center are proud to bring you The Joy Show. One voice, one story, infinite inspiration. Join your host, Barbara Jean, every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time or 1 p.m. Mountain Time. Tune in live or watch anytime on youtube.com/@UJOYC. The Joy Show with Barbara Jean. The perfect way to get inspired on Friday afternoons. Only on New Thought Media Network. And please like, share, and subscribe. And now, let's join Barbara Jean on The Joy Show.
Well, good afternoon. Happy Friday, everyone, in this incredible year 2026. Wow, it's going to bring some really good stuff. I just know it. Well, The Joy Show is where joy stands for just one you. We're all unique. We're all special. And I'm your host, Barbara Jean, and The Joy Show is a space for real stories, courageous conversations, and the wisdom that emerges when we honor who we truly are. So every voice matters and every journey is sacred. So that's what we're all about here. I just want to share our land acknowledgement to begin. As we gather today, I'm grateful to be standing on the historical land of the Wendat peoples, the Mississaugas, and the Haudenosaunee nations. And in knowing that it is now home to many diverse First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island. May we walk alongside our Indigenous family, recognizing our shared stewardship of the earth. Let us carry forward the spirit of unity, understanding, and resilience. And by making this acknowledgement, strive to be allies and take an active part in reconciliation. This commitment fosters the ideas of building a world that works for the highest and best good of all concerned. And with that in mind, I know that all good comes from this acknowledgement and this idea. Miigwech. Well, today we have a wonderful guest, someone I've been working with for over a year now, developing my website and the logo for our center. And so David's here today to share his brilliance. He's the principal. He's focused on strategic creative communications, media relations, continues to build upon a dynamic career as a creative director and production lead for international art, architecture, and design magazines, progressive corporate branding programs, strategic marketing and communications campaigns, experiential design installations, and full service creative development for private and public sector clients. Busy guy. So in this capacity as the principal for C3 Labs, David's focus is strategic creative services, corporate brand management, strategic communications, and user experience, the look, feel, perception across it all. So David has been doing this for a long time. He's gotten a whole pile of industry awards since 2010, 30 of them, I think. Like, wow, that's impressive. This is why we hired him to do ours. Hi, David. Glad you're here. Welcome. Can you hear me?
Through?
Oh, now I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me, but unfortunately, I can't hear you.
Oh my gosh, here we go.
Naturally, this would happen. Bit of a technical difficulty.
Oh my goodness. Well, I just got to have a laugh because you can hear David and you can hear me, and he can't hear me. So we don't know what's changed. So let me just say that, well, here we are. The Joy Show, back live and in person. And along with that, bumping up against the wall of technology. Don't you just love it? And especially when we got a tech guy as our guest today. I love that. David, are you back? Can we hear you again?
I'm back and I can hear you now. Naturally,
Yay!
we have one little technical difficulty, especially in the studio where we deal with live streams ourselves and all that.
It's so funny because this has never happened before. I've been doing this show for a few years and it's never, ever occurred. And we get tech in the room.
Glad it can be a first for you.
I love it. I love it. So, I mean, you obviously very creative. You do some remarkable work. I mean, we know that from our website, and people can see our logo up at the top of the screen here. So I'm curious about, when you were growing up and stuff, what was your dream for your life when you were like a little, you know, little toddler to a school kid to, how did that all evolve?
Well, it's funny. It's been a very unique evolution. Having immigrant parents and you know, growing up. Yeah, within our culture, there was, we had two career path options. Either you're a doctor or a lawyer, and that was the measure of success with my parents growing up. Originally, they were
Yes.
incredibly supportive throughout my development, but um, only once I started to kind of really become okay with experimentation of understanding what my likes were, understanding pop culture, and exploring more within there, that I kind of really start to develop a passion for the arts. I'll you know, to put it plainly, it was really finding things like street art and graffiti that kind of created a
Oh,
bit of awakening in myself. So, as a bit of a bored suburban youth, doing a little bit of graffiti on walls and things like that, I developed a passion for, understanding typography, understanding color systems and design.
okay.
And I luckily had a great person who became a real mentor in my life, who helped kind of redirect those that like desire and that need for creative outlets into something more um, uh, a lot more community focused, and really kind of using that passion and power for good. So her name was Morella, and she owned a art studio in the community that I was in. So like, hey, you know what, why don't you come in, let why don't you teach some classes about urban street art, because the kids are really interested in that. And
Yeah.
from there, I started to understand a lot more about the craft, a lot more about fine arts, and the creative development process, and that's what ultimately kind of gave me this spark and passion to pursue it further. So, you know, really what I thought I was going to be, very much kind of computer science based and technical based. I ended up going a completely different direction. And I ended up doing all of my post secondary education in design and fine arts.
Okay.
And while doing that, my mentor had kind of shown me how I can bring that forward into community beautification opportunities. So yeah, you want to do a mural, great, don't do it illegally. Why don't you approach a community center? Why don't you approach a youth group and do a workshop with them? And we ended up creating a lot of beautiful projects together, and then initially started teaching as well, fine arts and design. And once I had graduated, I decided to pursue a career, as an art director and in the design field. And through a natural progression, it then really focused into communication. So it's I was able to kind of use this creative power now to break down barriers between individuals, and even within organizations, and be able to find ways to effectively communicate through these creative outlets, through these mediums. So my career kind of uh, you know, was really much foundational within the fine arts, and then going into working with Canadian Art, Architecture, and Design magazine, working with editorial staff, crafting, stories and the visuals, and then bringing all of that into a layout and creating harmony there. I then got more involved with public sector organizations to help them with their communications products
Mhm.
and creating things you know, like unique infographics, murals, display pieces to go within municipal buildings, community centers. And I would then decide to pursue an opportunity to work further within the public sector as well. So I was able to kind of bring this private sector approach and discipline into the public sector, where I then got involved with the municipality and focused on area development and placemaking branding, creative development for area attraction to bring in businesses, to bring in people,
Mhm.
to position the desirability and the overarching I guess you'd say like brand presence of that municipality as well. And then the opportunity came to kind of apply that further and restructure and create internalized marketing departments within the city. And you know, once I had really, achieved everything I had hoped to do, a good friend of mine who um, we met in high school and were experimenting with, music, fine arts, and all of that fun stuff back then. We always kept in touch and we did some brilliant work together over the years. We had a shared vision and passion for um, the creative industries and had always said, like, well, we want to open up that full service creative agency where, we get to kind of apply our creative thinking and our skill sets to, nurture and mentor team members. So ultimately, surround ourselves with people that are better than ourselves, but also be able to work on something from concept to development to delivery as well. So my business partner and I, Mike, joined forces uh, about 4 years ago and created C3 Labs, who we've had the pleasure to work with the Universal Joy Center
Yeah.
and yourself. And we've been able to, we've been blessed to build just that. We went from a concept 4 years ago to now we're a team of 12. We've got incredible talent working within our awesome studio environment. And we also have opportunity now to kind of, pay it forward where we're supporting a lot of organizations with our creative skill sets and also give back to, young and up and coming professionals and individuals as well.
Well, that's, such an important part of what we do. I think, regardless of the profession that we're in, if we can open our hearts and share what it is that we do with somebody else to assist them, I think there's it's that whole idea of, random acts of kindness or whatever, or
Mhm,
being more compassionate with people around us, starting to realize our connection and how we can share our gifts and really
mhm.
make the world a much better place because we're all working, well, some of us are working together.
Well,
Maybe
it
not
and
yet.
it's an awesome feeling. I'm sure a
Mhm.
lot of people have gone to experience it in some way or aspect in their lives where, you get that spark of excitement, when you kind of come together and collaborate on an idea, whether someone thinks they're not very creative, they still have those moments of that spark, and it's a special moment. So we try and create, as many of those special moments as possible, within our professional development, but also within the projects as well. Everything that we do, including when we were building, and rebuilding the UJC brand, it was a very unorthodox approach. And it was very cool because we got to do something, very different. It not only was fulfilling from a professional aspect, but it was also fulfilling for, those on, the other side,
Mhm.
that were, going through the process with us and kind of helped you, reimagine and rethink, some of the approaches or what you thought, that brand could have really been.
Well, and that's the thing, for someone like, you know, our center that, is not as well known. I mean, we're New Thought is not as well known as
Mhm.
Catholicism or Judaism or whatever, right? So we're kind of finding our way into that niche, although we've been around for a long, long time.
Mhm.
And our roots go way back, way back to Plato and stuff. So it's not like we're new, but the
Mhm.
organization of itself is. And so the way, we work together to create the brand for UJoyC, I feel really good about it. And I'm really excited as 2026 has hit. And I'm now ready to really push forward. I think we're ready to create something really incredible that is just continually morphing. And I'm sure you find that in your business too, where there's always, it's like you do it one way for a bit and then something comes in and it's now we change direction. Or let's try this.
Mhm.
Or like there's that constant
Yeah.
need to do something bigger, better, brighter. There's
Mhm.
always change. There's always change.
Yeah. Well, and change is so exciting. You know, I
I agree.
I know it's a point of fear for so many people, but
Yeah,
if you can embrace change or embrace the concept that, um, nothing will be, the same, whether it's like the next day or a year from now, all that, it could actually create, a level of inspiration for many that you can draw from and draw great energy from as well. You know,
absolutely.
a lot, like to do the negative connotation of that, where, we truly believe, if you're not changing, then you're stagnant. And once you become stagnant, you kind of start to drift in to that darkness, into that, yeah, other way of going about things.
Mhm. Yeah, we're either growing or dying.
Mhm.
So there is no there's no real in between. So
Mhm.
when you look at your career and the things that you've accomplished so far, you're still very young and you've got a long ways to go. What about family life and stuff? Are you able to, create this new business and still have a level of a personal life that is satisfying as well? Or is it all work in the beginning?
Um, we have a phenomenal balance, and I must say I'm really blessed that I can even say that.
Yeah,
My career trajectory getting to this point, yeah, was very intensive. In terms of my focus and where my time had to go, especially being in public sector. There's quite often a lot of people have a certain bias towards public sector and government work and things like that, where
yeah,
I can honestly tell you, public sector communications is a 24/7 endeavor. During that phase of my career, we were, on call for, water main breaks at 4 a.m. Well, we've got to communicate that and, keep citizens safe. So that portion of my life, it was very difficult to find that true balance,
yeah,
even though it was exceptionally gratifying and fulfilling in so many ways.
yeah,
When Mike and I endeavored on building C3 Labs, it was also with the intent where we wanted to ensure that we're able to find that balance, because if we don't, especially as creatives and being in the creative industry, it's very easy to burn out and become stagnant. So,
absolutely.
so we've almost made it a bit of a mandate to be able to have that
Good.
space and to be able to, recharge. Oh, I've got two young girls, 9 years old and 6 years old, Ali
Mhm.
and Bella. And I will say that they probably take up more time than my career at some points. But, we're very lucky to be able to find that balance, and then also find ways of creating intersections. There's
Mhm.
nothing more fun than having the kids running around the studio and
Yeah.
getting excited when they see our different sets and camera setups and photo shoots that are happening, and then even finding ways of including them in some shoots for our clients, and
I love
doing
that.
fun stuff like that. So yeah, we're very lucky to be have that kind of integrated mentality, when
Mm,
it comes to ensuring that like we're involving our families
yeah.
in the business development, and also ensuring that we're creating that space for each other to be able to do that.
Hmm. Now, where did you come up with the name? Because that's, I'm going C3. Well, okay.
Well, there's a lot of symbolism and meaning behind it, but at a high level, when we were first creating our business plan and mapping everything out, there's three core pillars to what we do. Um, so it's three C's: creative services, community engagement, and the communications we put out to those,
Okay.
and consulting as well. So with the ideas and being able to lead our partners and our clients through, you know, ideation to decision making processes, and also looking at business development opportunities and how they operate as well, and be able to provide that expertise. So that's where
Mhm.
the three C's came in from.
C3. Yeah, Sharon asked that question in the
Yeah,
chat. Like, where did that come from? Yeah.
yeah, and then we decided to play a little bit further with it, where we made it kind of look like it's a periodic part of the periodic table of elements, and that's how much we very much um, presented our brand, because we came up with the tagline, which is really fundamental to how we work. Where art and science collide. Um,
Yeah, I like that.
and yes, we do create some wonderful creative work. It's aesthetically pleasing, it looks great, but there's so much more behind everything we produce. Really understanding who our audience is, what moves them, how we're going to create that strategy for our clients and partners to be able to effectively communicate what it is that they want to push forward. And a really strong mandate behind that is our ethics, to kind of always point to a quote from Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. We take that to heart, because the work that we do changes hearts and minds. And if we're not aligned with who we're working with and what we're doing, to ensure that what we're putting out is ultimately for the greater good of our community and for society as a whole, we're not taking on that project. We're not doing it. So yeah, so there's a bit of a mishmash of kind of concepts and ideas and things that we had at the
Brought it all
onset that
together.
all came together into the C3 brand.
I love that. And I love the idea of the kids running around the studio and, just having fun.
Yeah,
I remember years ago when Genevieve was born, because she's 20 now, but I'd be doing a Sunday talk, and she'd be, she's like 2 years old, and she's wrapped around my leg while I'm, walking around along the podium and stuff, and she's just very quietly there.
yeah,
Some people didn't like it, but she
yeah.
never interrupted. She never did anything that would, you know, cause me to lose my focus or whatever.
Mhm.
But she wanted to be near me, and I think that was perfect. I
Yeah,
think
no, that's
she
really
needed
lovely.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's exciting when they have that also like shared passion with it as well. We even had it was a pretty funny moment, but we had an opportunity where we were hosting an art exhibition in our studio space, and my little one that was hanging out, she decided to make a few drawings inspired by the artist, and then walked right by the artist, and she's like, "Can you put this up on the wall?" I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." She's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna sell my art too." And like, just yeah, decided to like fully take over, right? And it was it was such fun, and like it just brought everybody, so much joy and laughter in that moment. So,
Oh,
you know,
that's beautiful.
it's fun when they can be a part of it.
Yeah, and I
Absolutely.
think, we sometimes forget how remarkable children are and what
Mhm.
they bring. We sometimes, when I was growing up anyway, it was shut up, children to be seen and not heard. But
Yep.
I think we're starting to discover that there's something that they bring to the story or bring into the experience that actually lifts it up and
Mhm.
makes it a little more authentic, a little more honest. It just feels more real and,
Mhm.
makes us seem more real because we've got these little beings around us that
Mhm.
we can enjoy, right? We don't
Oh,
have to
absolutely.
hide
And
the
also,
somewhere.
yeah, and also perspective, right? Sometimes just the way they pull something in or interpret, a situation, an energy, anything, really does, create and change perspective of, what it is, that we're experiencing. And, more than a few times, I've shown something to them like, hey, what does this make you feel? Or, what do you see here? Right. And to get their, feedback on it, it's always been entertaining and very rewarding that way as
Yeah,
well.
I love that, I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah, children tend to bring a very, different perspective to things than adults do.
Mhm.
We can be so, fixed in our focus that we
Mhm.
miss all the good going on around us
Yeah.
because 'cause we've got this one focus happening,
Mhm.
whereas kids are like, they're just here, there, and everywhere and
Yeah.
creating something, remarkable in the process. So, well, we're at our halfway mark already. So we're going to go and we're going to take a short little commercial break and then we'll be back. So for everybody watching, this is a Joy Show here on the New Thought Media Network, and we're going to be back in just a minute. So don't go away. Lots more interesting conversation to come.
Please help us say thank you to all of our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Center for Spiritual Living United Life, Sunshine Cathedral, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Universal Joy Center, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Home Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. On behalf of New Thought Media Network, thank you, and please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, come be you.
Well, welcome back to the Joy Show. Hi, Wayne. Hi, Sharon. Glad that you're here. And I'm sure there's probably a few others that I haven't noticed yet. But we're talking to David Benedetto. Let's see if I can get that out. I don't have that. I don't have that Italian
The role.
whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
I've got this. I think my background is more German Irish, so it's a whole different, whole different thing. But So I'm curious, when you look at the journey that you've walked to get to this place, and you look at, I mean, how much life is left, we never know what that is. But is there something that you've been dreaming about or something you would like to make happen that is kind of sitting on the shelf at the moment, but you're kind of thinking about bringing it into reality at some point, like some big dream that you might want to share with
Um,
our group?
I that's a very interesting question. Actually, it's probably one of the hardest questions for me to answer today, out of everything. I try to really live a mandate of understanding that everything is temporary. So I
Mhm.
don't really like to put opportunities or ideas and things like that on the shelf. Um, but I would say if there's one thing that's had a little bit of that's been weighing on me in the sense of to bring forward into fruition would be a experimentation of some of the art forms that I used to practice a bit more often. It was
Yeah,
mostly in sculpture and kind of like experiential exhibits. I've been able to find, my creative outlets through, working with, young up and coming artists and curate, very cool exhibits and help mentor and grow them. But I haven't quite gotten back to, my own type of creations in some of those mediums. So I think there's something there that I need to kind of re-examine and start to play with again. Yeah.
yeah, that's a good idea. I think it's things like that that really keep us alive. Like,
Mhm.
we have this little niggly thing that we think, I could do that.
Yeah.
Now, how does it fit in, the current reality, right? Because,
Mhm.
like you say, balance is important, and finding that between family and work and, creative expression, self-preservation,
Mhm.
looking after ourselves is such an important piece of that puzzle. Because, if you don't do you, you don't get done.
Yeah.
And that's what crash and burn or whatever, right? And what about your kids? Like, what are some of the things that the girls are into that might be different than what you would like, or uh, are
Um,
they?
So, it's they're going through a bit of an interesting phase right now where they're, really kind of like finding themselves. So we're trying to give them as many experiences as possible,
Yeah,
to, have that self-exploration. Most recently, it's been they've been able to really like find themselves, in a lot of athletics. So, the gymnastics, the swimming, and things like that.
mhm,
But also in a like connecting with their faith as well, and
yeah,
that's been something. It's been very rewarding and exciting where they've been able to kind of connect with other members in our community and do things like plays
yes.
and another and a lot of other activities that are connected through faith and all that, and that's been a very amazing opportunity for them recently that's really helped them with their growth.
I think it helps with their confidence too when they start
Mhm.
creating something that really shows their own unique way of expressing something, whether it's through performance, through
Mhm.
drawings. I love
Yeah,
putting that artwork up on the
yeah.
wall. Here, hang this beside you.
Yeah, yeah,
I,
yeah,
I love
and
the
it
things they come up with. Mhm.
mhm. Yeah, and it's really dropped a lot of I guess like inhibitions, to be able to try and create. It's given them a lot of confidence in what they do on the day to day, but they're really not afraid at all to explore
Yeah.
something new and try something new. And of course, things might be a little bit scary to them at first, but
Mhm.
um,
Yeah.
we're very lucky that they've got a good foundation where they're willing to try and willing to experiment and do something a little bit outside of their comfort zone.
Yeah, I think that's such an important thing for us as adults to remember that
Mhm.
we are called to step out of that comfort zone, And what's crazy is I don't think it's very comfortable most of the time.
Oh,
We're in that familiar place, probably would be a more accurate word, familiar. We like what's familiar, even if it feels
mhm.
bad. Still- we still prefer it to the unknown, and yet it is the unknown that actually moves us to a place where that unique self can be fully realized. It
Yeah.
requires that we get a little uncomfortable for a minute.
Mhm.
What is the most uncomfortable situation you've put yourself in as you've been
Ooh.
progressing?
You know, funny enough, at first, public speaking was
Okay.
probably one of the most uncomfortable things for me at
Mhm.
the onset. And now I've actually found a bit of a passion behind that, where I enjoy kind of, going up and being able to connect with people and kind of share ideas and do those types of speaking opportunities. It's yeah, it was very hard at first, and then I just completely fell in love with it over
Nice.
the years, and try and pursue it and do it as much as I can, as again, also as a bit of a creative outlet as well, to be
It
able
is
to
beautiful.
provide um, you know a great experience, a memorable experience, not only effectively communicate something, but also, to help, uplift, whoever's, in the audience and that we're connecting with.
Yeah. It's interesting 'cause, public speaking is, like, the biggest fear of the majority of
Mhm.
people, and I just go, "Okay."
Yeah.
It's like my least fearful thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's other things I'm afraid of, but not, definitely not that. Um, so, as you move forward with C3, what is your big dream for it as an organization? Like, how far do you wanna take it?
Um, so I think this is really a shared dream with
Mhm.
my business partner, Mike, and myself. Like, our ultimate goal is to really have, C3 live beyond us,
Yes.
create an organization that has our, ideas, visions, philosophies as, the foundation and bedrock, but to be able to have it live well beyond us,
Mhm.
to be able to kind of carry on, do exceptional work within the creative industries and serve organizations for as long as possible.
Any thought of, maybe franchising it or something so it's in other places?
Um, I don't know about franchising per se in particular, but we have actually expanded this past year into the United States. So we do have an office
That's
that's opened up in the North Alabama region, which was
okay.
a really cool. Yeah, it was a really awesome expansion, and we're really really happy that we did it. And eventually, if we can expand to European markets and so on, it would be amazing,
Yeah,
just to be able
that's
to have the brand and that level of service delivery being shared across the world.
yeah, no, that's awesome. Why Alabama? Was there a
Well, it really came down to a lot of market research that we were doing. We've
yeah,
always wanted to work in the United States as well
mhm,
as Canada, and a lot of our clients are binational.
yeah,
So we have been doing a lot of cross-border commerce and business development in both countries. And when we were looking at the opportunity of opening up an office, serving that area has been booming. And if
mm,
you kind of look at what their economic development numbers are in terms of exports, in terms of businesses and organizations they're attracting there, as well
yeah,
as the type of talent that's there as well. It was. uh, it was like a very clear trajectory for us. And we just really also enjoyed the communities that we were introduced to in
Oh, yeah.
Tuscaloosa and all that. It was, they're extremely kind and gracious and
Yeah.
very welcoming to us. And yeah, we've been able to really scale and grow in that new market.
I love that because we never know sort of where that next place will be or how it will come to
Mhm.
pass. So it's always kind of fascinating to see how it rolls out. It's
Yeah.
like because when you think of going into the US, people look at creative things and go, New York and LA, and
Hmm.
that's where stuff is happening. But Chicago, but
Hmm.
I wouldn't necessarily have thought of Alabama, and yet
Yeah.
isn't that just the perfect place for you to be at this time? So I think it always sort of works out in
Mhm.
interesting ways. When I first came here to start a center here, came with a friend of mine, and we worked it for a year, and then she moved on, but she ended up starting a center in Kenya, and
Mm.
it is flourishing. And it's fascinating that what we do, which is so different um, from a lot of traditional, more common religions, we don't, I consider us more of a philosophy, I think, than a religion.
Mhm.
But it's fascinating to see how it's taken hold in Kenya
Mhm.
and growing and becoming a real, I mean, it is a
Yeah.
global movement, but when you see certain places just go, there too, wow, how'd
Yeah.
that happen?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and what's nice about, kind of introducing change into your life and kind of those types of opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, you never know which way you're going to go, and what those opportunities might hold. I've been very lucky to have like a really amazing business partner who we're a bit of a yin and yang, where he has an ability to push me forward a little bit more outside of my comfort zone. Say like, hey, let's take a look. It's like, oh, I'm not really sure. He's like, let's take a look. Let's be open to opportunity and ideas.
Push.
And it was quite amazing. Something that I never really anticipated we were going to do with the business. We did in our second year,
Amazing.
and it's been able to kind of grow and flourish from there. And eternally grateful that we did, because it's been incredible with the connection, the community, and also the business development opportunity we've had.
That's fantastic. And I think that comes to really paying attention to our intuition as well. Because when we're doing any kind of business, I mean, there is the practical goal setting and checking budgets and doing all the stuff, but there's
Mhm.
also that creative spark. There's that little something something that goes, yeah, and
Mhm.
like I think there has to be sort of that heart connect
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
goes, here's something that I hadn't really thought about, but man, it's kind of niggling me a little bit. So I think I'm going to push forward for it.
Yeah.
I think that's a
Absolutely.
really, really important part of the entire process. And we sometimes miss that,
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know,
And I would say my wife being supportive of doing
helps.
something like that, because it also meant, a bunch of time away from home and,
Yeah.
pursuing that. But also, she really embraced that opportunity and actually pushed me to do a little bit further. Like, hey, you know what? I'm going to come down with you with the girls. Let's go
Yeah.
experience this area together. Let's, build that sense of community together. And going back to what we were talking about earlier of finding those intersections where we can kind of bring business and family together. It
Course.
was through that really helped us catapult that forward.
Yeah, I love that because I think that's really important. I know in my work as well, my husband is,
Mm.
right there with me. We have, different careers and we're both busy. We've decided neither one of us will ever retire, so that's That sort of means we're going to be busy for the long haul. But we do different work and we have different sort of communities, but then we have this part that brings it all together.
Mhm.
And we've been able to really support one another in our
Mhm.
ventures because yeah, we're a team. So
Yeah.
it matters. It really does matter to have that kind of support. So good for you. And where are you going next? I mean,
Where are we going next?
Canada, Alabama.
In terms of plans, our immediate future, yeah, I am going to be back in the South US, uh, in Alabama as well as Tennessee area.
Mhm.
And we'll be business developing there. We have actually a lot of inbound opportunities coming as well. We do a lot of work with the Italian Canadian Chamber of Commerce and a lot of opportunity building, business development within Europe. So hopefully Europe's on the horizon very, very soon.
Yeah,
And then, of
definitely is.
course, within our local economy, we serve, all of Canada. Mike, my business partner, was in 5 different provinces, all within about 4 weeks, for some productions that he was leading and doing, and working on some documentary pieces as well. So I would say, yeah, we're going to be probably keeping a very similar trajectory for the next few months of bouncing around across the country and down south as well.
Oh, that's beautiful. I think that's what's for me, that's what's fun about work is that there has to be an element of kind of joy and excitement in it that
Mhm.
allows us to keep our energy high because we need a fair bit of enthusiasm to
Mhm.
bring some of these projects into manifestation. They wouldn't happen otherwise. So
Oh,
getting that
absolutely.
that part of us sort of
Mhm.
geared up and going really works. And I love that, we've talked about balance and, bringing everything together because that's what makes it actually work. It's when
Mhm.
we try to just do everything all by ourselves that we miss the boat a little bit. And it can be hard, when you start a company or whatever, you kind of got your
Mhm.
hands in all the pies at that moment,
Yeah.
but you have to take them out and let other people take over.
Yeah. Yeah. Relinquishing control is a very hard thing to do, especially when you know whether it's within your business or even within family and personal life as well.
Mhm.
Actually, a few years ago, I uh, one of my mentors put me on a really interesting book called um, "Turn the Ship Around," and
Oh,
it's by Lieutenant David Marquet. And it was this really cool approach to leadership where it's actually a bit about relinquishing control. And I ended up seeing this great speaker who, you know, gave us an assignment, and it's something that I actually do now all the time.
mhm.
Whenever you go into a restaurant and they ask you, what you'd like, well, chef's choice. Whatever the chef feels that I should be experiencing this evening is what I'm going to have. And like completely relinquishing control. And it was such a cool experience at the time. It was more of a social experiment where it's now become a little bit of a mantra and a little bit of it's something that I do everywhere I go. Because
Wow.
quite often, you're surrounded by people who are experts at their craft and what they do, and kind of
Yeah,
like curating these experiences.
yeah.
And it if you're able to find that comfort zone of giving up a little bit of controls, and allowing them to kind of give you an experience of um, it, it really does change perspective and what you thought a situation or an experience could actually be.
I like that. I like that a lot. I wonder if I could try that.
I would highly recommend it. I really, really would.
I am. There's a part of me that goes, "That's very cool," and there's another part of me going, "What if I
Yeah.
don't like it?"
Yeah,
I
and you
bring
might not,
anything, but
and you
and
might
I might
not, but
not,
you tried something that you wouldn't have typically picked, and it's always funny because I've done it quite a few times, especially with dining with other people, and they just look at me with, like, what are you doing? Like, what are you thinking? Like, what if you don't like it? Well, you know,
I'm not gonna
then it
die.
is. Yeah,
It's not like there was
exactly.
another food.
But But what if I love it and
If
I
you
tried
love it.
something I never would have thought to try, you know, in my lifetime? So,
I think that's the big thing right there is that if we can allow ourselves to try new things, whatever they are, whether it's food or, going to the theater, maybe we think, well,
mhm,
I don't like opera. Well, do you know for sure? Like, have you
mhm,
been to an opera? And, I think, I don't know who said it, but somebody once said, "Oh yeah, it's the best sleep I ever get." It's when you go to the opera. But I mean, it's like, that's kind of a bad joke, but I personally love the opera,
yeah,
and, I don't have to understand what they're saying.
mhm,
There's just something, it's very heart. It's very much heart. And
yeah,
so I find I like to explore things like that I haven't done before. My son and I went to celebrate our birthdays, which are just 4 days apart. We went to, Detroit and then New York in December, and we
yeah,
went my son phones me up, he says, "So do you wanna go watch a football game in Detroit?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay." So
yeah,
we go and we watch a football game. But what was interesting while we were there and wandering around and seeing all the different sites in Detroit as well as in New York, even going on Broadway to see a show, it's like, well, what show are we going to see? And Curtis said, Mom, you choose. So I was going through the list of shows, going, well, I know what that's about. I know what that one is. I've seen this one here in Toronto. It might be different there,
mhm,
but I've seen it. And so I went and I chose a show that I'd never even heard of,
mm,
and we loved it. We absolutely loved it. And I think that was interesting. But also before we went, we sat in a restaurant to have a lunch before, and somebody sat down beside us and we started having a conversation with them. And that's another way that we can sort of step out of our comfort zone a little bit, is
mhm,
to break the ice with people that we don't know and to sit back and say, hey, find a way to start a conversation. And we had so many wonderful, warm, beautiful conversations while we were in, these 2 cities in the US. And interestingly, the way people were just so kind, like, they
mhm.
were just so happy to chat and so excited that a Canadian had actually come down to the US at this point in time. Um, we thought that was kind of funny, but it was, we had a blast. And then the show we saw on Broadway, we went and saw The Outsiders. I knew nothing about it, Curtis knew nothing about it. And then
Mhm.
everybody's going, "Oh, yeah, I read the book, saw the movie," and I'm going, "How did I miss this?"
Yeah,
But we had a really, really wonderful time, and I think if we allow ourselves to stretch in different ways, whether
mhm,
it's having a meal that we let somebody else choose for us, or
yeah,
we talk to an absolute stranger. I like telling people that I love them,
mhm,
strangers included,
yeah.
men and women alike, I don't care. It's like, you it's I think there's ways of us kind of stretching ourselves a little bit, and I
Mhm.
think that's really important. So I love that you mentioned going out for dinner and saying, "Chef's choice."
Yeah, yeah, and it's those moments of when you do stretch yourself, whether it's a conversation where you never know which way it's going to lead, or
Yeah,
an experience like a show. Like, I've done a couple of those as well, where
yeah,
I had no idea what I was going into and left in complete awe.
yeah,
And it's those moments that kind of create that spark of excitement in life, that kind of
yeah,
almost like rejuvenates you a bit, where, you're
yes,
excited to go and tackle a new project, or excited to
yeah.
go and, do something else. It really gives you like a nice, zest, if you will.
Yeah, because I think it's sometimes hard for us to do something new. Because I
Mhm,
know even as we've been, sitting with you, Joyce C, looking at ways that we can do it differently, it's like, keeps falling into that same pit.
Hmm.
And so, it's like, how do I change it completely?
Yeah.
And so that's been the journey, is how do I do this differently? And I think sometimes we just have to really step into the deep end and
Hmm.
go, I don't know what I don't know, so let me just do something different and see what happens.
Oh, there's nothing more exciting, in my opinion.
I
Yeah,
I
we
agree. I moved to Toronto with $40 in my pocket, a
wow.
one-way plane ticket to Hamilton, and 2 suitcases of summer clothes.
Oh
On my
wow.
laptop, I did have my laptop. And a dream to
That's
start
incredible.
start a center here. That was it. I was I lived in Calgary, my family's in Calgary.
Mhm.
Uh, born and raised there, spent my first 42 years there. It's like that it was an adventure, and it was one I knew I had to take, and I knew it would work out fine.
That's incredible. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that would be probably one of the going back to an earlier question, what would
yeah.
be more fearful of, like, the, kind of uprooting and going, somewhere completely different and trying something new. So I must commend you on that, because, that would be a terrifying task, to say the least. But how you've been able to find so much fulfillment and allowed that experience to flourish into what it has is quite incredible.
It's that journey of, I like to say, when the universe calls, it's a good idea to answer. And
Mhm.
I think that when we get that impulse that I should do this, then
Mm.
do it. Do
Yeah,
it for sure. Well, believe it or not, we're down to our last 3.5 minutes.
right on. Wow. It really does.
What is one thing that, if people could only take one thing out of our conversation today, what is the one thing you think people should
Mm.
really pay attention to and give it a try moving forward?
Mm. um I a couple things that we chatted about today are, super important, to me, just from like a philosophical perspective and all that.
Yeah.
But I will say that, going back to what we talked about relinquishing some control. Um, Give it a try. You'd be very surprised, with how you become more open to experiences, different types of experiences, and even different types of individuals you may connect with.
Mhm. Yeah.
And part of that relinquishing control is similar to what you talked about, of having a conversation with the table next to you that you know s- you know socially you wouldn't typically do something like that.
Yeah.
But just putting yourself out there in some way, um, it's truly a beautiful experience, and it really does create some unique energetic sparks.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Thank you for that. I think for me, what I would say is, do like David did. The next time you go out to a really nice restaurant, make it the chef's choice,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
just give it a shot, and then you can come
Yeah,
back to us and let us know how it went.
exactly,
I
exactly.
love that, relinquishing control. Years
Yeah.
ago, I was married to someone who got up one morning and went, "Oh, the sun is up, Barbara. Thank you so much." I think they were suggesting I was a control freak, and they probably weren't wrong. David, thank you so much for being here. I'm so thrilled that C3 built our website. I think you did a great job, and I look forward to seeing what you do in the future, where you go next. I mean, we got Toronto, we got Alabama. Who knows what's next?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it'll be exciting to give you the next office tour in the
Oh,
new
beautiful.
place. But I
Yeah,
must say, it's been an absolute pleasure and joy, to be on the show with you today, and really to have had the opportunity to work with you and the Universal Joy Center as well on, the brand development, website development. The team found a lot of joy working on the project, and
yay.
we're exceptionally proud of what we've been able to achieve together. So
Awesome.
thank
Well,
you for
thank
that.
you. Thank you so much. Well, everybody, that's it for today. We'll be back again next week with more wonderful conversations from who knows who. Always somebody interesting showing up on the show. So I invite you to come back. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And, maybe you'll be next. There's just one you. So live your absolute greatest. Bye for now.